Hello everybody, Perco here with this week's pontification. The subject this week is why is everything so damned expensive? But before I get into that, I just want to thank Skip and his family visiting us last Monday. We had a very pleasant lunch at a local cafe, and I chatted with Champa, their grandson, who is a Lao, who's going to go to Queens, New York City, to study economics and then go into the rag trade on the design side. I did, of course, being me, try to explain to him that AI is going to take most of those jobs in the not too distant future, but I wish him the best. Problem for Champa and a lot of other Lao people is that for various reasons I am not going to go into here, Trump has decided that Lao people are now persona non grata, and so getting a visa for Lao citizens is becoming virtually impossible. Anyway, so what am I talking about today? I'm talking about the amount of money that you seem to have to spend to do absolutely anything. Basic reason is because there is simply so much more money now than there ever used to be. I'll give you an example. I grew up in a house that my parents bought in 1953. It was a 4-bedroom bungalow, and it was about 12 miles from central London, sat on a fifth of an acre site, which is pretty decent size. They paid less than 3,000 quid for it. Today, goes for about $1 million, I think, looking at numbers. So that house is pretty much the same as it was when I lived in it, from looking at Google. But there is a lot more money around, so that's why everything is more expensive. But by more expensive, I don't mean just money. I mean by that I mean the amount of hours you have to work to get anything. So we used to be able to, certainly in my dad's day, on his wage, he could afford to pay the mortgage and the costs of running a household. Mum used to stay at home looking after us kids. So that is making life was a lot simpler then, and the government wasn't taking anywhere near as much money in. I'll give you another example of that. Before World War I, the size of the government's part of the economy in both the US and the UK, basically in the Western world, was around 2 or 3%. Today, it's around 30 to 50% of the economy. What's the main reason for that? Well, I think it comes down to the fact that the economy is just so much more efficient. It simply doesn't need most of us to make stuff. All that's been shipped out to the east or to the south, in America's case, but basically to people who work for a lot less money. So, and the other thing is, of course, we're living a lot longer. I mean, just taking myself, for example, excuse me, most people who were born in my dad's age died at around late 70s. And now, I think the age is in the late 80s. So the pensions that have to be paid for of people who are out of the economy, instead of being, I don't know, surviving maybe 1 or 2 years, maybe 5 years at the most, now people are surviving 20 years. So that's a lot larger amount of money. In the US, I'll give you an example of how expensive things are getting. The average working family in the United States spends $16,500 in tax revenue to pay for the military in the new military budget that was set for next year, which is $1.15 trillion. Now, if you look at what the military used to cost back, say, before World War I, 120 years ago, the military budget was much smaller. Why? Well, because the cost of equipment was a lot less. These days, I'll give you an example. A Patriot battery is one truck with a whole bunch of rockets on it. One of those pieces of kit is $1 billion. I don't know how efficient they are, how effective they are. That's not the point. But that's where all this money is going now, into the munitions industry, which of course Eisenhower warned us about all those years ago. And it's become a very large part of the economy. And that is why you struggle to pay for housing, food, clothing, education, health, even something as simple as babysitting or childcare as it's now called. In the old days, if you had a child and you went out to work, then you just basically ask around. There'd be somebody down the road who would have a bit of space and had a bit of knowledge, and they looked after your kids. When they came home from school, they'd go there, sit there for a couple of hours, watch the telly, play games, whatever. But today, I don't know what the numbers are, but a lot of people spend thousands of dollars a year for childcare, so the wife can go to work. But the wife didn't need to go to work in the past. Anyway, that's enough for this week. I'll talk to you again next week. Take care.